Hey guys, Sarah here with My Dog Listens. I have Hoppy with me. We're going to go over a couple of our puppy things that we go over as far as our puppy consultations and some of our training. So it's just going to be a little bit of luring with food. I'm going to use a clicker today. We're going to go over crate sizing. Just so you guys know the basic stuff. Sometimes people cover it as far as breeders, sometimes they don't. So it's just great knowledge. Small things to do with your dog until they get used to everything as far as nail clippings, and we'll go over that as well. But if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to message us after this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Hoppy is almost 5 months old, so she's pretty small. So she is a regular size Pomeranian. They've got the micro and some teacups. So she'll be about 9 to 12 pounds, I believe. Just depends. Sometimes each breeder is a little bit different, but regardless of her size, we will love her regardless. So she is going to show us, and we're going to practice a little bit of our sit and down. So this is kind of a slippery texture, so some dogs will kind of scatter a little bit. I'm going to use a place object that has defined edge and border, so it's a little bit easy because this is a lot of open space and I don't want her to slip or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and bring the climb up here. This one has legs, as you can see. It goes underneath. I use this a lot for training with all of my dogs. It's really great. It's a plastic surface, but it's not very slippery. And it's really sturdy, which is really good. We want to make sure that the dogs are comfortable and confident, so that they're not scared to get on there. So we don't want it moving around a whole lot. So I'm going to park her up here. I have some hot dog here that she'll be more than happy to work for. So I either cut up little pieces of hot dog. I have some dried liver treats. You can use your dog's regular kibble. So anything that they'll work for. Sometimes I like to use just a little bit higher value than their kibble. It just makes them a little bit more eager to work, and you'll get a little bit better engagement. So you can tell she smells it. So I'm going to show you guys. I've got 2 different kinds of clickers here. So this one, your thumb is actually going to go in, and then you will go ahead and click it. I'm not really too fond of these. You can adjust the settings on there, but I find it really hard to get my thumb in there and click it when I need to, because timing is really crucial. You want to make sure that you're marking the behaviors right away. This one, you can see it has the button on there, so you can click it. It's really, really quick. So we're just going to work on a little bit of sit, and then we're going to work on a little bit of down. So I'm going to actually put this bowl back here so that she can't reach it. You'll notice that there's not any other distractions in here, so this is a really controlled environment, so that she's not easily distracted. So I don't want the kids running around, I don't want the other dogs running around, so it's just going to be one-on-one with your dog. If there's lots of distractions, it's going to be much more difficult to get their attention and keep them focused. So she does know sit. As you'll see, she'll offer it to me, and if she offers it, then I'll go ahead and I'll click, and she's going to get a treat. If your dog does not know sit, then what you can do is you can hold a little piece of your treat, put it in front of their face, and right here, so she's going to scoot back a little bit, but this edge is going to also help with her to not be able to go back too far. So if your dog gets distracted, back to their face, and you'll put a little bit of pressure on them, and they'll go back into that sit, so they'll fall. If you have a little bit more difficulty, can't really get them into that sit, I will use a flat collar, not a harness, because you have much better control over the dog with this flat collar. She can smell, I still have treats in my hand. Hold on, little girl. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you what you'll do with a leash if your dog's a little bit bigger. So I will have the clicker in one hand with the leash. The closer your hand is to the collar, the better control you're going to have over your dog, okay? So you can see I'm going to put a little bit of upwards back pressure. She's going to sit, relax that leash so there's no tension, and you're going to click as soon as they sit. I'm doing it a little bit delayed right now just so that I can kind of explain it to you. So back, good. And you can mark it verbally if you don't have a clicker. So yes, you can use yes, you can use good to mark, and she's going to offer me a down. We've slowly started to work into that as well. So she's trying to kind of figure out what it is that I want so that she can get that trait. I practice, and then good sit, take it away, good sit, good. I'll work a little bit of duration. I don't take my hand away this way because the dog's gonna wanna come forward. So I typically keep it here. I'll let her have a little piece of it. Good sit, reinforce, good sit. I have more in my hand. Yes. And go ahead and let her out. Good job, little girl. So with down, it's hard with little dogs because they're so low to the ground. I'm gonna turn this way, see if you can see her a little bit better. So it's also easier if you have an elevated object instead of being on the floor that's flat. So you have a little bit more space as to help guide them down. You can bring them towards the edge. Have her go into that sit, and then I'll pull her a little bit down. So sit, down, good. I'm gonna mark that. I want the elbows to touch. That was a little bit delayed, but I want the elbows to both be down before I mark the behavior for down. When I first start with a command, I'm gonna go ahead and just mark the behaviors. I'm not gonna even say the word SIT or DOWN, just because I want to mark the behaviors and get them perfect before I put a name to it. Good. Once the dog starts to understand and starts offering, and it looks really good, oh, good, that was a little slow, then you can put a name to it and you can ask them. So then, happy sit, and then you can mark it. So then you put a name to it. So don't name it until you love it. Good. For down, you can also lure your puppy down. And then I hold the food and I mark as I'm giving them the treat so that they're still in that down. Down. Good. Excuse me, I've been recovering from being sick. I don't have the corona. Puppy. Down. Good. Good job. She's getting a little bit close to the edge, so I'm going to pull her this way. I don't want her to fall. Good job, mamas. So your sessions are also going to be really short. Nothing too excessive. Good. Because the dog is going to start to get tired. So you want to always end it on a good note. Down. Good. Sit. And I change it up so that it's not consistent. It's not sit, 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 because I want to mix it up so that when I ask her to down, she knows the difference between down and sit, so that she doesn't just offer me one thing continuously because we've been doing so many repetitions. So when you first start, just start with the sit itself. And then when you start to work on down, do a couple of sits in between. Like I said, you don't have to name it until you love it. But this will give her, or your dog, him or her, a better understanding of the difference between what sit is and what down is. So we're going to go over a couple more things. So it's really, really important as far as grooming. So she's pretty young still. So I like to make sure that I touch her feet. I'm going to turn her around so you can see. So it's really important I just touch her feet and kind of poke those little nails out and hold, and I do each foot. You'll notice that a lot of dogs, as they get older, they don't, I smell like hot dogs. So you'll notice that they don't really like their feet touched. So this will just help to desensitize them so that it's just a normal thing. So when you take your dog in to get their nails clipped, it's not traumatic and it's not something they're not used to. So it's just a daily thing. And I just kind of grab them and play with them, and I touch their legs, bend. This is stuff that your vet is gonna do when you go in. Look in their mouth. So she doesn't really like, oh, look, that's good. Nice job. Look in their ears and just kind of get them used to this, you know, kind of normalized desensitization. So when you go into the vet and it's just a normal thing and they're not like, oh my gosh, why are people touching me here? I'm not used to this. We want the vet to be socialized as a good positive thing. It's not meant to be traumatic. You know, we don't want to just take them to the vet just to get vaccinations or if there's an emergency. I take my dogs in just to get their nails trimmed, just so that they see the vet periodically. It's not just a once a year kind of deal, and it's, hey, we're going here and bad things happen, or this doesn't feel good and we're going here. Then they start to associate as a negative. Some dogs that I train as well, I take them in when they are puppies and we do our puppy stuff, and I'll just take them in so that they can set on the scale and just kind of have them, give them a treat. There's lots of different smells of dogs and stuff in there, and then we just leave. So we just start associating that as a positive thing. So like I said later, it's not traumatic and they're not like, what is this place? Which is pretty common what happens. As far as nail trims, with her, she's really small, so I'll use just small clippers. Like I said, I start when they're puppies and start pretty young. The younger the better, and I'll just hold, and then you can also use a clicker and and then reward her with treats and stuff like that. So with the nails, I try to hold, let's see, I'm just gonna do just the ends, and I make sure I do just the ends just because I don't want to clip them too short. Some of these nails are dark, so you can't see the cuticles. So with that being said, if I clip them too short and they start to bleed and it hurts, she's probably not going to want me touching her feet. So start slow and just trim them, just the tips, but we want to make sure that we trim them maybe if you're doing just a tiny bit, like once a week or every other week, just so that it's a normalized thing. And that way the cuticle starts to set itself back and it doesn't get out too long, because the longer you wait, the cuticle starts to grow out and then the nails get longer, and then you have to slowly regress back and to get it pushed back, and it can take a couple weeks. But we don't want those nails getting too long to where they hit the ground, they start bending. It can be really uncomfortable for them and it's not beneficial health-wise. So same as with people, good hygiene. So we want to make sure her nails are all trimmed and nice. Another thing with her is she's going to need to be groomed a lot. So we have started grooming the backside. Obviously she's got longer hair up here, just so that when she goes to the bathroom, stuff doesn't get stuck. A brush, making sure that you brush them so that they're used to that. She doesn't seem to mind it too much. She likes to try to attack the brush though. But making sure that these are simple things, but desensitizing them at a young age, so that way they're not fighting you and it's not traumatic. As far as potty training goes, I take them out between every 15 to 20 minutes. Her bladder is really, really tiny, so we go out pretty often. You make sure you want to use the same door that you go out. Don't want to switch it up, so we use the front door and we go right out. Ask her to go potty. Yes, good, and mark the behaviors. She's really quick. She caught on super duper quick. The more proactive you are, obviously the better. If you're going out for a little bit, you want to make sure that your crate is properly sized, and the reason for that is because if it's not and it's too big, they're going to be using either the front or the back portion as a potty area. So I'm going to show you guys our size crate that we use for her. She's really tiny still, so she just is about 3.5 pounds, almost 4 pounds now. So she's really tiny. So this is actually a cat carrier, but we didn't want to put her in anything too big because we didn't want to have those accidents. So it locks here, so you have to do both, and it swings open. As you can see, it's not very big. It's big enough for her to go in. She can turn around and she can stand up, and I'll have her go in there just to demonstrate so that way you guys can see. Good. So she can turn around and she can stand up in there, and that's perfect size. I know a lot of people start to think, well, I'm going to be gone a little while and I want my dog to be comfortable. I don't want them to be cramped or cooped up, but if your crate is too big and your dog is young, chances are likely you're setting them up for failure and they're going to have accidents. And then typically we get phone calls, well, I don't understand why, my dog just keeps going to the bathroom in the house. We keep having accidents. It's because you're giving them a window of opportunity to make those choices. So set them up for success. Don't set them up for failure. And not only that, it will set you up for success in the long run with your dog. As far as leashes and stuff, when she was a little bit younger, we did use a harness. So this one will just go on the feet. Let's see. And it will just go over, and some of them Velcro, some of them just clip. But when we took her for walks and started our potty training stuff, we've always had her on a leash just because we have the eagles that fly out here. So we're in Nokesville, and we've got 12 acres, so there's lots of wildlife and stuff, so we don't want her to get swooped up. So she's always on a leash so that we have control and make sure that we know where she's at all times. But the harness is nice because their necks are really, really tiny, and sometimes when they're really little, you can't really find good sized flat collars to fit. So a lot of people resort to the harnesses, which is fine. I use it for little dogs a lot. Larger dogs, typically, I am not a big fan of it because harnesses were actually designed for working dogs. So it allows them to put pressure here on the front so that it's comfortable so that they can pull. I have her on a flat collar now just because she's a little bit bigger. And the reason for that is just because I have better control over the dog with a flat collar. So we're working on just some basic obedience with her. So we've worked on recall as far as come, sit. She's starting to learn down and offer it as well. She knows bed, so we can also go over that at a later time, but just wanted to go over some couple, basic stuff as far as puppy things for now. Important things to start with your dog before they start to get much bigger. And you'll notice a tremendous difference as far as like vet visits and just having your dog be able to be relaxed and not stressed during those normal things. As far as, what else? Anything else? No? We've gone over a little bit of stuff today. We'll go over some recall stuff for our next, hopefully it's not raining, and we'll go over marking for place and working up our duration and stuff on some of our other videos. So we hope you guys enjoyed this session, and we look forward to sharing more knowledge with you guys. Thanks. Have a great day. Say bye, Happy. Say bye.